Hey there, my name's Eric. I'm a long distance rider. That's what I like. I've done all sorts of other things, track, off-road, jumping. It's all lovely, but I like long distance. Um, you know, 200 miles a day, 250 miles a day. 400 kilometers in a day. Those are the kinds of things that I really enjoy. And this summer, a couple of long range rider friends and I are planning a nice trip of about 3,000 kilometers on our wheel over the course of 2 weeks. That's about 18 or 1900 miles. We will be leaving from Montreal on our wheels, crossing the border, going all the way down to Boston. Then we will leave Boston with some local friends that will join us, and we're going to head down to New York City. We're going to ride around the city, and then we're going to ride back from New York all the way back to Montreal. Nice trip. We've been wanting to do this for a long time. And the topic now has become how do we get all of our gear with us, and what do we bring, what do we don't bring. We've of course watched Dawes Short's videos, very nicely done. We look forward to your debriefing. We do have a lot of experience. We've got all the important gear. I ride an Oryx. I have a Sherman as well. I've got a couple of Lynx, Patnes. As you can tell, there's a pattern. I quite like Leaperkim wheels. I've had all the other brands. They're fine. I choose Leaperkim. And the two other people that are coming with me have a Sherman and a Oryx as well. So now we're turning our attention to how do we bring all of our stuff without having just one enormous backpack. We're starting to look at how we put our stuff on our wheels, because we want to ideally transfer some of the weight and some of the bulk to the wheel so that we don't have to carry a massive backpack. I recently put together a rig. I've been working on it most of the winter, well, some of the winter, and I showed it to a few people, and there's been quite a bit of interest. So I decided to do a little video and show you how I built it, how I designed it. It's a mix of some things that I bought on AliExpress, like a little $20 Canadian bike rack, maybe 15 bucks US, maybe even cheaper than that, and some 3D printed bits like this little rear light relocator, this mount at the top that goes through the handle so that the rack sits in place, and a few other bits and pieces that I 3D printed or not machined but modified to suit my purpose. So all right, I'm gonna show you what I built, how I built it, and what it looks like. Okay, so the first part of the kit is the bike rack. This is a small front bike rack. It's meant to be on the nose of a bicycle. It's very cheap. Paid maybe, I think maybe 15 or 18 bucks Canadian. So that's probably close to $10 on AliExpress. Super easy to find. Bike rack, AliExpress, you'll easily find it. I'll probably drop a link in the description. And basically it's designed to go on a bike like this. On the Sherman L, you can use it like this with the stock screw holes, and it fits quite well, although you'll definitely want to solidify it because these are very cheap. For the Oryx, it doesn't fit that way, but you can put it this way if you use pliers and you remove these pins like this. You remove these pins, these will screw directly into the holes that are on the Oryx. I'll show you a little snapshot here of how it fits together. And you will need to bring the stand down one level on the screws. And what that does is it does make it so that you cannot fold the stand down, which creates another problem. And the other problem is if you accidentally fold it, and you drop the wheel and the stand folds, it will bang on the, like this, it will bang on the rack on the floor. So I designed this small little bracket over here, which fits into the top of the hinge. And when you tie a tie wrap to it, it makes the stand significantly less likely to fold. I wasn't able to block it completely, but it's really much less likely to fold. And then what I did is I decided to print a different seat And what I did is I built this. Now this is the prototype. I built this so the rack slides inside the slot, and I remove the handle from the wheel. I slide this into the handle, and then I put it back, and I secure it with a screw here and a little tie wrap here. Now I am working on a slightly longer version of this that will tie wrap a little bit further. So what this does is, with the screws at the bottom and this threaded through the handle at the top, this thing is really very secure. It doesn't rely on these kinds of straps in order to stay in place. And it works quite well. So then after that, the other thing that I wanted to tackle is the rear light. So while this is on the wheel, the light is hidden by the rack, and so I decided that I would relocate the wheel. So I built this little clip here that screws right into the holes that are already in the wheel. And so what I can do is I can unscrew the light, disconnect it, and clip it in place. And so it goes right here, and all you need is a little TRS extension. 20 centimeters is a little bit too short. It's pushing it. So you might want to get something a little bit longer, maybe like 50. You might need to, thread around, or you might need to cable manage a little bit, but this is really cool. And it's also very easy to unclip. It's quite secure. It's not going anywhere. It's made of PLA, and you can easily remove it and put your light back. So if you go somewhere and then you can leave your stuff somewhere, you could take this rack off in just a couple of minutes. You just need a couple of Allen keys, and boop, you're all set, and you can put your wheel back on your light back on your wheel. So now that's the back. So we've got the rack that's solidly onto the wheel. We've got the light that's been relocated here for the rear. We've got the stand blockers that are here, that are inserted into the wheel and strapped. So now that we've got the back taken care of, let's talk about the front. I wanted to put a little bit of stuff in the front, but the challenges were I don't want to block the front headlight, and I don't want it to be too big or too heavy. Of course, you want to be careful about how much weight you put on the wheel itself. You don't want to put too much weight, especially too far out. It'll affect the handling. But in my case, everything that I'm putting on the wheel is a little bit bigger things. Like in the back, I'll have my tent, my sleeping bag, and my sleeping pad. In the front, I'm going to have a couple of bags like this, which you've seen on the wheel. And basically, I'm just putting a little bit of clothes in there. So there's not a lot of weight. So I inspired my design on these Rhino Walk bag. Now, there are other brands. There's 4 liters and there's 7 liters. I decided to go with the 7 liters because they're a little bit bigger. And what that does is I can pack them a little bit shorter, and that way they're not in my way. The other thing too is, because I ride with Power Knobs Cohedrons, I like to lean forward, and the space on the top of my legs, I didn't want to bang my knees into the bags, and so the bags couldn't be too into the wheel. They had to be a little bit outside to the front in order to clear that. It's also because I ride seated, and if you ride seated, well, you don't want these things to be in the way. So I inspired my design on this, and these things come with a rack. Oh, great. This listing doesn't show the rack. Let's see if we can find another one that does. Okay, this is the same listing. There we go. Okay, so the rack is like this. It's designed to go on a bicycle fork, but obviously that's not what we're doing here. And so what I did is I built a bracket system to mount it onto the front of the wheel. So the system is comprised of a few things. First of all, there are metal plates here, which are purchased on AliExpress, which line up perfectly with the holes that are here. The holes are they're slightly oval. So I used one of these plates here, and then I bought L brackets like this, which I bent gently just to the right angle so that they would line up with the holes in the front. And then once these were on the wheel, The problem was that they were a little bit wobbly, and of course you don't want to leave just the 3 pins like this on the wheel because it's not secure. So what I did is I 3D printed this thing here. Now this one has an LED light built in. That's just a little extra that I built for myself. It looks like a Knight Rider. It goes like this. So there's a little bit of wiring coming out, but I did make one that doesn't have the light for my friend because I'm going to be building his Oryx like this as well. And then once this is on the wheel, now the whole assembly is much more solid, but it can still technically go like this. So what I did is I measured, designed, and 3D printed these things here, which are exactly the right shape in order to be jammed right here in the gap. And so once these are in place, once these are inserted into place, the whole assembly is super solid to the point where you could actually lean the wheel forward and park it on the floor on this, and it's not a problem. So yeah, so this is how the rig is designed. Yeah, now I haven't ridden with it yet because it's winter here. I will definitely ride with it soon, and I'll let you know how it goes. So this is the front, and that was the back. All right, so for the rear rack, it's really not that complicated. You just unscrew these 2 bolts and the big one here. I'm gonna power on the wheel a little bit just to keep it stable. Remove this handle. I do want to remove the light because we're gonna relocate it. I will shut off the wheel to disconnect the light, make sure it's off. The reason why we do that is because they have been known to short if you do that while they're plugged in, and we would like to avoid that. So, light's gone, rack goes in here. Now there's 1 screw here going through, and there's a little tie wrap here holding the eyelet, and then we just bring that into place. I do like to put a little washer in here to keep the wheel from scratching up, but since this is just a quick demo, I will skip that step. You always want to be very careful when you do the first few threads. You go super slow, make sure that it's properly seated and not cross-threaded. I always use a low torque setting, and then I come back and do it by hand. So again, nice and slow, making sure we're in properly. Then hand torque here and here. Now for the light, I'll use a little extension. It's got to have a 90-degree here, and then we'll just clip this into the little clip here. I'll pull it off to the side just for a little bit of cable management. I will shut off the wheel, and then I'm going to go plug it in. There we go. So it's nice and snug. And now we can power it on, and the rear light works. And now we can put the handle back. And of course, same thing. I'm not putting on any Loctite just because this is a, oops, wrong one, wrong hole. Because this is just a little demo. How to put it all together. There we go. So we've got the rear rack. It is really solid. I can lift the wheel. Now the rack itself is rather cheap. I mean, it is about $10 US, 15 Canadian, roughly, something like that. So, you know, it is a little bit cheap, but hey, look, it does the job. I wouldn't sit on there, but you know, there's definitely real estate. You can use this for clips here. I am working on a version that has a slightly bigger opening here in order to be able to fit some clips in there. Although the clips that I have do kind of fit on this one, you still have access to your charge ports if you need them. Yes, they're less convenient, but you can still access them. You can still sneak your cable in here, position it, plug it in. Might be a little tricky with your gloves, but you do still have access. So this worked great. There we go. And now let's move on to the front. On the front side here, get my little screws. Get my little rack. So this is the rack. As you can see, this is what comes with the dry bags. Got some L brackets here that have been reshaped to suit the purpose. There's a flat bar here that I used to screw in the rack, and then this here is a custom built piece that I designed that's got a little sliding LED in there. I do have another version, like I showed you, or I will show you, depending on when we are in the video. So all of these things line up with the screw holes, and so it's just a matter of putting the screws in there nice and smooth. Always nice and slow. Oh, I lost a piece. All right, so we're going to torque them lightly. Like so. Now for the other side. Like, last but not least. Okay, so the rack is on, but the problem is that it's still a little bit jiggly like this. Now I did put this piece in the middle which tied the two racks, but now the magic happens when we add the stoppers, or the, I don't know what to call them yet. These things, which are perfectly designed to slide into the gap. So the gap that's in here that allows the wheel, this rack to jiggle a little bit. I designed this piece to go directly into it. And so it goes right in here. I'll push it here. So, line it up properly. And now when I put in the second one, it's hard to get in. I have to pry it a little bit. And so the result is this thing is very, very solid onto the wheel. It is possible to remove these things, but it is hard. You have to pry it. So it's really quite solid in place. So you've got 3 metal brackets per side. You've got the TPU, bumper, stoppers, whatever, and then there's the middle thing here that works really well. I did also add to this design a USB plug and a power supply for this light. Now, this is not something that is necessary. Obviously, it's a little extra convenience. I do need to pull this out here in order to slide this into place. this will then go up here like so. It will plug into the port of the light. Just need to find the darn thing. Okay, it's a little bit further back. Oh, hold on. Wait, what? Oh, looks like I already had a Y in there. I was testing another setup earlier. Okay, so that explains it. So this will go into the jack. Yeah, the jack's on the other side. That explains it. There we go. And then the stock light will be connected into this one here. Now I do like to tuck the cable for the stock light and the adapter upwards here a little bit so that they don't bang around here. You can find a clever way of getting it up there. And so now this cable can snugly fit in here. And I can use this to jam it in. And now my little USB plug can flip up into this little area here. And then if I want to run that little light in the front here, I can just go around. I've got a little Velcro pad in here, and then I can just link up the little connector. I do need to work on a better connector for it. This is not exactly properly water sealed, so I'll need to work something out on that. And there we go. So we have the whole kit that's been assembled. Switch it on, and the front works, the light works for the wheel, the LED strobe thingy here works, and we've got USB on here. So I've got a USB-A, USB-C. I can shut it off. If ever there's any kind of rain, I can always disconnect it and put the little cap on there. So it is somewhat weatherproof. This plug will need to be worked on. Everything else is properly shrink wrapped and sealed, but this particular plug, I don't trust it. So I'll have to figure something out. So there we go. That's how it all comes together. I just realized I forgot one very important thing. Now, if you're putting this together, the one thing that you don't want is you don't want the stand to fold, because if you fold the stand, it will hit the rack and it will be in the way of the travel of the suspension. So in order to prevent that from happening, what I've done is I've designed these little pieces, which are very specifically designed to go into this little crack here and fit into here. Now on their own, they don't stop the stand from folding, but if you use a tie wrap and to the grooved area here, like so. Now obviously you're going to want to tighten that pretty hard. But if you do that, then I don't have another tie wrap, so, but it will be significantly more it doesn't want to close because this is blocking here, and it won't come out, but this is blocking the stand from going up. Now, I don't have a second tie wrap. I just used my last one. I've got 1,000, but they're over there, so I can't put the other one. But it makes a big difference when you put the wheel down and you accidentally push it forward. You see, it doesn't want to fold, it scoots forward instead of folding, which is the typical expected behavior. If you don't have it, you don't have the stopper,
and you put the wheel down and you push it. The typical behavior is for the stand to buckle, and with this it does not. So there you go, there's the rig. This is where my tent will go, this is where my sleeping bag will go, like this and like this. And I'm pretty happy about this. I've discovered that if I put my tent back here, I will carry the poles in my bag and my sleeping bag, and if I put it just properly and I angle the top part properly, I can rest the tip of my backpack on it. And if I don't want that, I can just shuffle it down just a little bit into the elastics of the down lower into the straps. And so on those big long rides, I can lean the backpack just a little bit onto the support here. There you go. So with this setup, I can basically go pretty much anywhere I want. In here, I've got sleeping bag, sleeping pad, pillow, tent. The tent poles will be in my backpack because they made the difference between being able to put that in there and not putting in there. In each of these 2 bags, I've got 3 t-shirts on each side, 4 pairs of underwear, 4 socks, 4 pairs of socks. So technically I'm good for about a week. Of course, you know, pants and riding gear and stuff like that. Riding gear is riding gear. So I mean, I can afford to just take one of these Bobblebees and put my charger in there and a few little things. I do have the sidewinders, but I'm probably not going to bring them because almost everything is in there. I mean, what I'm going to have in my backpack is my usual stuff. You know, stuff like Roger Charger, Insta360, a Helinox chair, a little blanket, you know, tools, chargers, power bank, things like that.